Welcome back to another episode of Basset with Captain Lou. You guys asked, I'm going to deliver. Stick around, this is gonna be a fun video. In today's video, I am going to cover from the beginning to the end how I develop a pattern out here in the Everglades. First off, I gotta say thank you so much for those of you who commented on my previous video, on my apology video. I appreciate you guys so much for that. I know a lot of people still have yet to comment because the video is so young and so early that I posted it over the weekend. But a lot of you took the time to comment, and I truly appreciate the comments. And because of some of those comments, I went ahead and shot this video today. And today what it is I'm developing a pattern. You guys asked, how do you develop a pattern? Good or bad fishing? How do you develop a pattern out here in the Everglades? Well, stick around because I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I do it. Okay guys, so here's what I got going on. The morning is pretty slow so far. Sun's coming up, that's great. Water's getting a little warmer. Camera's starting to overheat, and of course, camera overheats, I catch a bass, but it wasn't a big bass. I went back to my top water, I went with the boyo. So I'm gonna be working this line here against the hyacinths and see if I could get something to hit. But like I said, hopefully this camera doesn't overheat and shut off on me again. I mean, a little guy, feisty, again on the spook. Okay, so I'm starting to get some topwater activity. Okay, is it the warm up? Is it the time of day? I don't know, I'm not gonna wreck my brain over it. I'm just picking up on activity. There's been a lot of big wakes on the spook. So let's capitalize on that and let's keep fishing. That was a good one. That's a good one. Nicer from earlier this morning. Again, look at the bait. Okay, so although I wasn't catching much earlier in the morning, I was catching little bass, but I was paying attention to where the little bass were striking. And please disregard the road traffic because I'm in a community hole that has a lot of road traffic. But I started finding that most of my activity was along the bank line and dark pockets right now. So if I could find a dark pocket around some sort of vegetation or some sort of rock or some sort of cover, more than likely there's gonna be somebody home. All right, because you guys asked, I'm gonna share with you guys what's going on right now, because things change on a daily basis or hourly basis. But I'm gonna explain to you guys how I'm getting these bites. All right, now look, see that? You see that? See the cover? Underneath that, the bass are hiding. So you wanna cast there. So the point that I was trying to make as I develop a pattern, I'm observing, okay? I'm getting strikes. They're little bass, okay? But the biggest went for over 2 pounds so far. That last one went for about a pound and almost a pound and something. Okay, so they're getting bigger. So I started noticing, where are most of my bites happening? Well, sure enough, if I could get close to the points of vegetation, they're hiding under the mats right now. They're not coming out too far to investigate. So the strike zone is short so far. But these clouds, these very high clouds have moved in. There's forming shadows over the water, so I'm liking it. So I made this one, literally, little transition, and now the bass bite is starting to pick up a lot more. It's almost every cast now. I went ahead and changed colors on the Rapala, and now these little chunky bass are starting to hit. It's a nice one. Oh, it's a mudfish. This, folks, is a big bowfin. I mean, this one is small. These are the guys that are in the snakehead family. It's actually a smaller one. For some people, they're fun to catch, but they could be a nuisance. It shredded my boyo. Now I gotta replace hooks and everything because it just trashed. I broke one of my hooks trying to take the hook out. But that's the famous bowfin, or out here in the Everglades, we call them mudfish. So you know, mudfish are bleeders. They're very vascular in their mouths. So now I gotta clean up all this blood before it cakes up in my boat. But listen, you guys wanted to know the behind the scenes fishing out here in the Everglades. There you have it, mudfish, they're messy. I also forgot to mention, when you tangle with a mudfish or a big mudfish, just remember to retie. I had to change my front hook and I have to retie because they do have teeth. And the last thing you want to do is come across a beautiful bass or a beautiful peacock and he breaks you off because you had a run-in with a mudfish earlier in your outing. Hey! Hey now! My first peacock of 2025! Woo! My first peacock of 2025. On that little Rapala. I mean, I threw it over some vegetation. He just freaking slammed it. Beauty, huh? So as you guys saw, there was 2 specific lures and outfits that got the job done today, and I'm gonna quickly go over them today. The first one is when I made this transition to this small finesse jerkbait, I went old school. I went with the Rapala, the F7 Rapala. Let me tell you, when I did that transition, holy smokes, the bass started to light up. Reason being is that these bass have been gouging on minnows, and I knew that. I knew that, and for whatever reason, I just didn't do it until today. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna throw the F7 Rapala and let's see what happens. So I threw the little F7 Rapala. I threw it in gold or in black and white, and let me tell you, the bass started to pick up. And I also caught my first peacock bass of the year throwing that little jerkbait. Now, as far as the outfit that threw the jerkbait, I was using a Dobbin Sierra 702 spinning outfit on a Dobbin's spinning reel, 15-pound braid with a 15-pound, 12 to 15-pound monofilament leader. Yes, I know that that leader is too heavy for this little Rapala. Trust me, I figured that out on the first cast. But you know what? I got lazy and I didn't want to change to a lighter leader, so I kept it on there. But yes, for those of you who thought about it, you're absolutely right. You should go with a much smaller leader if you're going to be throwing such finesse type of jerkbait. I would recommend anywhere between 8 to 10-pound monofilament leader, so I overpowered it. But nonetheless, the combination yielded me a lot of fish, and it was fantastic. Last but not least, the next outfit and lure that produced the most bass for me was the one that was throwing the boyo, the spook boyo. You guys know that I love this topwater lure. I've done several videos on this lure, and there's a reason for it, so you're more than welcome to check out those videos. And the outfit that I threw this on was my Caden 713. Let me tell you, this is one bad, awesome outfit. I have it on my SLX MGL reel from Shimano. I have it on 20-pound 9-strand braid, and I also have this with a 15-pound leader tied with the FG knot. This combination right here is unbelievable. If you want to fish topwater or light topwater, this combo right here is absolutely awesome. So there you guys have it. Developing a pattern out here in the Everglades does take a little bit of due diligence. As you guys saw earlier in the morning, what did I start with? I started topwater with a spook. Okay, the topwater bite wasn't there, so I went with a fluke. Then I switched to a jerkbait, I switched to a prop bait, then I switched to a little jerkbait, and then I started altering things around until the day started progressing and the bite started to develop. Now, I took note of everything that was happening on each and every bait that I threw. So for example, if I was throwing, let's say, the prop bait, and the prop bait was getting 0 action for 15 minutes straight, nothing was happening, then it was time to change that prop bait. But look what happened. All of a sudden I changed from the prop bait and I went to a small jerkbait. I went old school and threw a little jerkbait. And all of a sudden the outing completely changed, and the bass and a peacock, believe it or not, came out to play, and it was almost every cast with that jerkbait. So when it comes to developing a bite, or developing a pattern to find the bite rather, you got to experiment with a host of baits. You got to try a few in the top water, you got to try a few on the bottom, you got to try a few in the middle, and then after that you also got to start manipulating your speed and your cadences in the top, middle, and the bottom. Any of those combinations are going to get you bit. Which one? I don't know, but in today's outing, as you guys saw, when I changed things up, especially with the spook, or I changed things up with the jerkbait, you guys started seeing that the pattern started to develop. Then I started seeing where the bass were coming from, and then I started honing in on my casting, and that's how you start developing a pattern. You got to take these careful little notes, because that's the difference of catching or not catching. So there you guys have it in developing a pattern. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Again, thank you so much for the comments on my previous video. I really do appreciate it. Like this video, share this video, better yet, subscribe. The community is growing. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves.